biggest fear of doing this is following something like that. Soon after I was asked to do this tribute for Tim, I suddenly realized, hey, I did this 10 years ago for him when we recognized Tim for his 25 years of service. So I don't know, Tim, what to think. I don't know if they couldn't find anyone else to say good things about you. If you don't have any other friends. Maybe I did such a poor job the last time, they'd just give me another chance to redeem myself. No. Whatever the reason, I can assure you this, I'm not going to be doing it when we have 45 years. But I am honored to say a few words in recognition of 35 years of service to Christopher Doc. I don't know how many of you know that Tim was hired as a phys ed and psychology teacher here when he first came to Doc. It wasn't until several years later that Tim transitioned into the role of athletic director that we all associate him with now. Tim, of course, still is in the teaching, doing teaching, but the psychology classes got dropped somehow along the way. When Tim began as athletic director, there were 8 varsity sports here at Doc, if you count cheerleading as a varsity sport. At the time, all of the coaches were members of the faculty. Now there are, if I've counted correctly, 17 varsity sports. And if I've counted correctly, only 4 members from the faculty and the staff are involved in coaching a varsity sport. The amount of work to have all these sports run efficiently and to hire all the coaches needed is, needless to say, considerably more now than it was when Tim began his work. As a result, Tim has developed an extensive coaches manual that set up guidelines and expectations for all the coaches here at Doc to help Tim in the hiring of coaches and to help coaches be able to coach in a way that is consistent with with our philosophy of athletics. I know that Tim put a lot of time into the development of that manual, and it's not hard to see that it has paid off handsomely for Doc athletics. Now, some have said that athletics gets too much attention here at Doc, and I'm sure that all of us here that teach have felt a tension between what we're doing in the classroom and what is required from our athletes in terms of time away from class and all the practices and games. But we are fortunate here at Doc to have Tim guiding our athletic program, because as committed as Tim is to running a top-notch athletic program, he is just as committed to holding athletes accountable to their academic work. It's good to know that Tim has my back, our backs, as it relates to student athletes' performance in our classroom. It's been interesting to watch Tim's involvement over the years as a coach. Tim has coached a number of sports, but his main involvement as a coach has been in basketball. I've always had a lot of respect for Tim's coaching philosophy, and when egos and various other things began making coaching boys basketball not as much fun anymore, he stepped back from a higher profile boys basketball coaching position and began working with the girls basketball program, where he could more readily incorporate key concepts of coaching that he was becoming more and more convinced were essential to the individual player and team development. When I hear Tim talking about coaching these days, I hear him talk about athletes being aware of their potential, striving to meet their potential, of athletes making choices to continue to grow as athletes and as individuals, and of athletes learning to see how they fit into the team as a whole, and of athletes being aware of what they have to contribute to the team as a whole. Tim has always believed that there are some things that are important to learn that are best learned through participation in athletics. And he is more interested in his athletes learning these things than in being hugely successful, as success is often defined in athletics. One of the balancing acts that Tim is constantly working with is the call from some, mostly parents probably, to make the athletic program bigger and even more visible, especially if it means that their son or daughter would be in the spotlight, and the call from others to decrease the emphasis on athletics. Personally, Tim, I'm glad you're in that position and not me. But I think you have done a good job of navigating that tension. On the one hand, making sure that deserving athletes are recognized and honored when appropriate, and at the same time not going overboard, just so some athletes' parents can have their egos stroked. One of the things that Tim has instituted for these reasons is the press conference that is called each year to announce athletes' commitments to various colleges and universities. The athletes are being honored, and the honor is spread out among a number of athletes instead of just focusing on one or two. Those of you who know Tim know that his faith infuses all aspects of his life. I am blessed to have Tim as one of my friends, and it has been a pleasure to hear him over the years articulating his faith and how he seeks transformation in his life. The neat thing has been to watch how the transformations that he has experienced have permeated his relationships with students and adults with which he comes in contact. Tim relates to people with a keen sense that all are worthy of love and honor, and he seeks to affirm and honor people for what they are, humans created in the image of God. Tim, no amount of recognition can adequately convey our appreciation for the countless hours of work on both shaping the athletic program here at Dock and all the little itty-bitty details of the daily operation of the program, for your vision of how athletics here at Dock can help to shape the lives of our students, for how you value each student you relate to, for your commitment to helping each student grow and meet their God-given potential, and for your commitment to growth and transformation in your own life, which has blessed us all here at Dock. Congratulations on 35 years of faithful service to Christopher Dock. Many of you know that Tim has embarked upon some new endeavors in his life, one of them being farming. And so this goes to you, Tim, and I understand there's enough money in here to purchase a couple of these.